Hello people, I'm Tom Heats, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to have a look at the Ethereum network, also how to set up a MetaMask account, and last but not least, accounts in Ethereum in general. So what are the properties of an Ethereum network? I will go over this graph step by step, and I will also try to explain additional information, not just what is on the chart. So you guys have a decent understanding of the Ethereum network at the end of this video. So as you can see here, we have a network of nodes. The nodes are connected with each other. They are building a network. The network is mainly used to transfer money and store data. This allows us to build interesting applications on Ethereum. You also have to know that there are many networks in Ethereum. The main network allows us to deploy production applications. If you see in the news that Ether is going up in price, they are referencing to the main network, because in the main network, money has value and it costs you actual money to deploy applications. But there is not only the main network, we also have test networks. These are used to test your applications, because if you want to test something, you don't want to spend real money. That's why you use a test network. You can also run a network on your computer. And that's actually hand in hand with the next point. Networks are formed by one or more nodes. So you can have a network with one node participating, or you can have a network where there are thousands of nodes in there and communicating with each other. Each node in the Ethereum network is a machine running an Ethereum client. Now what do I mean with a machine? A machine can be anything that forms a computer. So it can be a laptop, a Mac, a PC, or anything else. The client you download is a software which allows you to interact with the Ethereum network. So you download it, install, and then connect to the Ethereum network. Also, anyone can run a node. And you can be literally anywhere and connect with a person all over the world. Each node also can contain a full copy of the blockchain. So it's aware of the transactions which were already deployed. And last but not least, the blockchain is a database that stores a record of every transaction that has ever been sent. So as we are now aware of the Ethereum network, we can have a look at how we can interact with it. It's important to know that there are mainly two types of technologies out there, one for developers and one for consumers. So for developers, we have technologies that allow us to create actual applications and talk through the network through code. And for that, we're going to use a library called Web3.js. And you can think of it as a portal to the Ethereum network. It allows us to send money, store data, deploy smart contracts, or literally anything we can think of and we want to do with the Ethereum network. So again, Web3.js is allowing developers to interact with the Ethereum network through code. But what if you're not a programmer and you also want to interact with the Ethereum network? So for consumers or people with less programming experience, or especially in Solidity, we have other ways to communicate with the network. We mainly have two different approaches. One is with MetaMask. And MetaMask is a Chrome extension or also Brave extension, which allows us to interact with the Ethereum network. The other one is the Mist browser. And this allows us to browse through different smart contracts. But as the Mist browser is limited in its functionality due to its young age, we are going to use MetaMask. MetaMask is also the most popular and easier to use one. So in order to get MetaMask, we're going to the Chrome Web Store and search for MetaMask. It will be one of the top things which will show off. You can also recognize it with its fox icon. Now we're gonna click Add to Chrome or Brave if you're using Brave. Add extension. And if you've done everything right, a new tab will open up. You're now gonna click of Get Started. Because we are new to MetaMask, we want to create a wallet. You can click Agree. Then you will have to create a new password. Click Accept and Create. And now you can click on here and you can see this mnemonic. This is used for if you lose your password, you can still restore your wallet, because This just splits up your private key into two separate words. But as we will be creating many wallets in the future, I don't want to store this now. If you want, you can of course do this. I will click Remind Me Later. And now we will see the main interface of MetaMask. You have your account name here, below a strange looking number, your amount of Ether you have, and what you already know is that on the top we have different networks. We have the main network where we will be deploying production applications, but we also have a set of test networks like the Robson, Bowen, Rinkeby and Gurley test network. And as we've said before, we can also create our own network on our local machine. If we want to do this, then we would have to check this. I will go over the networks in the next few videos, but we will be mainly using Rinkeby test network. You also have a deposit and send button where you can receive and send Ether. Now let's come back to the strange looking number. This is your address. Addresses in Ethereum start with 0x. You can think of it like your email or your username where users can be identified with a certain number or characters. Our account is called account1 and our address is this number below. If we create a new account, we will have a new wallet where we can receive Ether. Now let's have a look at Ethereum addresses. So what MetaMask is doing for us is they create an account address, a public key and a private key. You need all of those components to interact with the Ethereum network. As we've mentioned before, the account can be seen as an email address or username. You can share this number or sequence of characters with anyone in the world. You also have a public and private key. As you maybe can remember, the private key was the 12 words we should save on our drive to have access to the MetaMask account. If you lose this private key, you won't be able to log in to your account again. So it's very important to store the private key if you have actual funds on it. Because we don't have any yet on our MetaMask account, I just skipped this process. The public key and the private key will also look something similar like this number. This is because they're hexadecimal numbers. So what I could actually do is I could go into my browser, open the console, and type in a hexadecimal number. What we receive is a base 10 number. So JavaScript automatically converts the hexadecimal number into a base 10 number. So if I type in a hexadecimal number, and I can see that the actual value of the hexadecimal number is 3 times 10 to the 21th. And that's a really gigantic number. And you have to remember, I didn't actually take a real address. A real address would be even longer than this number. And also the private key, it is a gigantic number. If you try to guess this, well, then good luck. So this number is actually much longer than here. And what we can see here is that we have exactly such an address. And what's really cool is that you can change the network, for example to Robson, and you will see that the address is not changing at all. It's staying the same. So we can use just one account in MetaMask and connect to a whole bunch of different test networks or even the main network. In the next few videos, we will be then actually deploying smart contracts and programming, especially in Solidity and JavaScript. Solidity is the programming language to deploy smart contracts or program smart contracts. If you're interested in this, I'll be glad if you gave this video a like. Also, if you're not a subscriber, I'll be glad if you subscribed. And with that being said, I wish you a good morning, noon or evening, and see you next time.